I want to introduce to you today one of the strategies for effective learning, and that's spaced practice. Now, the materials that I'm going to show you today come from the Learning Scientists, that's Jana Weinstein and Megan Smith, and you can go to their website and download all of these materials for free. But just a brief introduction. This is one of 6 strategies for effective learning that they have written about and that there has been a lot of research about, but we'll talk primarily about spaced practice, what that is, and how to do it. So whether you're transitioning from high school to college or beginning to study a new subject, all of this new content can be overwhelming. Our college courses tend to cover a lot more content and things can move pretty quickly. You might find that your old study habits need some tweaking to keep up with the new content. So a couple of things that you can do. This one in particular is going to be spaced practice. Now, the research shows that spaced practice, this is when you study with breaks in between, helps you learn more effectively than massed practice. When we talk about a massed practice, we're talking about cramming. When you use spaced practice, you study for different courses in chunks and then you take breaks between study sessions. This gives your brain time to absorb and transfer what you're learning from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. Cramming, on the other hand, overloads your brain and you're more likely to forget what you learned right after the exam. In that way, spaced practice is really the opposite of cramming because you're not going to do a bunch of intense studying right before the exam. You're going to space out your learning, take that same amount of time and spread it across a much larger period of time. This gets more long-lasting results for learning. So if you take 5 hours and spread it out over the course of 2 weeks, that's much more effective than taking 5 hours right before the exam to do your studying. So how to get started with this? First of all, the best time to start planning your study schedule is at the beginning of the semester or even before. You want to set aside a little bit of time each day for studying, even if your exams are still 8 weeks or 12 weeks or even further away. This might feel weird if you're used to cramming right before the exam, but what we're talking about is trying to build a new habit. Stick with it, it's going to get easier. First, how do we schedule the study sessions? After each class, don't review the notes right away. Instead, wait a day before going back over what you learned. For example, if you have class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, plan to review your notes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The delay helps to reinforce your memory better than immediately rereading everything. So yes, you are still going to be studying before the exam, but you're going to study smarter. Spacing out your learning doesn't mean that you won't study right before the exam. You absolutely can and probably should. But by spreading out your studying over days and weeks, you'll spend less time cramming at the last minute. And as a result, you're going to retain more information, both in the short term and the long term. So what do you do in the study sessions? First of all, don't just sit down and reread your notes. You have to use effective strategies like retrieval practice, where you quiz yourself on the material, or elaboration, which involves explaining ideas in your own words. Don't just study the most recent material. You want to make sure that you're revisiting the older content to keep it fresh in your mind. Now, it's normal to forget some of the information in between sessions, and that's okay. Forgetting is a part of the process, and it actually makes your learning stronger when you review again. What you're trying to do is create some small gaps in your learning. You'll space out your study sessions by a few days and tackle small chunks of material each time. Little by little, your efforts will add up. Now, you might be skeptical and say, cramming works. Cramming's always worked for me in the past. And here's what you need to know. Yes, cramming does help you pack information into your brain right before the exam, but it comes with some major downsides. First of all, cramming takes a lot more time. When you cram, you actually end up spending more time trying to learn the material compared with spacing it out. You might study for 5 hours straight before a test, but if you spread those 5 hours over several days, you'll learn more in less time. Also, you're going to forget it faster. Sure, cramming does help you pass the test, but afterward, you'll forget most of what you learned. All that time cramming is wasted because the information won't stick. Spacing your learning means that you're going to retain more of your information for future classes, future tests, and your future profession. And cramming steals your sleep. Most of the time when we cram, it means we're staying up late and we're losing sleep. And losing sleep is bad for your learning, it's bad for your memory and your health. Sleep is crucial for your body and your brain, so forming a healthy habit of spacing out your learning will help you succeed in the long run. So try this out. Look at your schedule, figure out when you can set aside some time over several days to review the content, space out your practice, and if you want to learn more, you can find out really good information by going to www.learningscientists.org.